Come and get started on a new mission, a new direction, a new intention. Welcome to 5.8G Alive at Connections 50 Plus. I am Terri-Ann Joseph Brathwaite.
And I am Jennifer Gibbons-Joseph, catering to all your prospects in the third act of life.
Economic well-being, social gratification, personal fulfillment.
Join us on Wednesday at 6 p.m. on Connections 50 Plus Facebook page, YouTube channel,
and on Gael the Caribbean. Welcome, hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to 5.8G Alive. It is Wednesday, it is the 9th of March, and we onto the first quarter of the year, almost done. Hello, I am Terri-Ann Joseph Brathwaite, one of the co-creators of Connections 50 Plus. Happy to be here, and as usual with me.
Hi, good evening, everyone. And I am Jennifer Gibbons-Joseph, the other co-creator of Connections 50 Plus. Welcome to our 5.8G Alive show.
Great. Jennifer, I love your flowers behind you. Your Anturium.
Thank you. It makes so much difference to me. I love having flowers in the house. Yeah.
Great. And you know, today, Jennifer, we continue. We're on the theme of reflections because we remember people, we told you we have to move on. We did our vision board. Everything we do is continued and continual and connected. And last week we noted you got to know a whole lot more about Jan and myself. We exposed some more about us. And
Terri-Ann, I got a lot of feedback about that. Some saying, yes, Jennifer, I know that sounds just like you. Others saying, I didn't know that about you.
I have a friend who knows me very well, and we talk about this euphemistic attic. And I live in an attic, and I like to be in my attic by myself. That's why I know I introvert, no matter what people say. And he said, hey, you're bringing people in the attic, man, you're making progress.
I love that.
And my point was, I didn't bring anybody in the attic. I described the attic to people. Nobody coming in my attic.
You know, they know not to come.
They want to come, but I don't invite people into my attic. I like to be solitary. But the point is that it is so important for us, if we are to have meaningful lives going forward, to make sure we know and understand each other. And last week we noted that it was the beginning of Lent.
Yeah.
It was the beginning of Lent, that 40-day period of reflection. And for so many cycles, so many things. 40 is a number of cycles, preparation and stuff like that. And we thought today that we would take a deep dive into Lent, both of us being Roman Catholic and Roman Catholic Church, together with Anglicans, Episcopalians, and Methodists are the Christian denominations that really focus on Lent. Yeah. And we take a deep dive and chat with a special friend about how we see this period. So Jennifer, what do you think about what we're doing today?
I love it because I am one who observes Lent. I see Lent, this period, as a time to really, as we talk about self-reflection, to look at my spiritual life, because I totally believe that to deal with any challenge, we need to strengthen ourselves a little more and to continue. But also, we need to set aside time to focus, to keep that focus. Set aside time to say, well, you know what? Let's see, what is it? You know, you question yourself. Am I doing the things that I should do? Is this bringing me any peace of mind? Because I'm all about the peace of mind. Am I really making a difference to other people's lives? You know, things like that. So for me, Lent, I take this time as an opportunity to reflect, go within, see the things that I should not do again, let me put it that way, and what I should do now. So yeah, it is a significant time for me to do that self-reflection. Yeah.
Okay, so without much ado, let's get into being in tune, and let's have that conversation with our special guest. Enjoy.
Yes. Hi, as mentioned, we have a special guest, Coreen Jones-Robinson, and we're going to be chatting with Coreen. Now, this is Lenten season, and we told you all that. And we, as Catholics, normally we celebrate Lent. And we thought it would be really nice for Coreen to share with us, as I would say, Coreen, a devout Catholic, to share with us, you know, tell the audience a bit more about Lenten and how we observe the Lenten season.
Okay, thank you, Jenny and Terry, for having me. This is really an exciting season for the whole Christian world. Lent begins on Ash Wednesday and continues until Easter. During that period, Christians all over the world remember the events leading to the death of Jesus, whose life and teaching are the foundation of Christianity. Okay? Lent is a time of deep reflection and also repentance for all Christians. And when I say all, at home, you will find that some of the devoted Christians will even have their children hold or make sacrifices in terms of not eating certain things or not doing certain things. I, as a First Communion teacher, I recognize that this is very active in homes, because when it comes to talking about Lent, the children, most of them, they know that it is a time of sacrifice when you give up some things. All right?
Coreen, all right. Coreen, before you go,
yeah,
I always felt, yes, you said all Christians,
yes.
But is it really all Christians or mostly Catholics?
It's mostly, well, it's mostly Catholics that, you know, I am acquainted with, who you will know about, you know, but I think it is something that all Christians recognize. I believe it is recognized by all Christians, not only Catholic, the Anglicans too. And
the Episcopalians, the Methodists, and the Roman Catholics are essentially the group that recognizes Lent. Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of the other Christian denominations, non-Episcopalians, they don't recognize Lent. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify because I wasn't sure, you know, being Catholic, I tend to think it was mostly Catholics. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Now, to continue, important during that period is the whole question, which is 40 days. Lent is a period of 40 days. During those 40 days, and maybe I should go back and say, it is important to do fasting, to pray, and to give alms.
Why fasting?
Fasting, because it's you want to detach yourself from the world. And when we talk about fasting, Jenny, we are not talking about just food, but you fast from looking at the television. You fast from going online, you know? These are things that could be distractions from you getting deeper into spirituality, into yourself, your whole being. So you fast from, or keep away from, or reduce the amount of time you spend on television, maybe just talking on the phone, liming, maybe buying clothes. You
So
know?
it's indulgences.
Yes. Well, you can call them that. Okay. And the purpose really is so that you detach yourself from the world and you try to enter into the spirit that is within you and to encourage God to be there with you. You will recognize that in churches, especially Catholic churches, you see a difference.
Yes.
Not all of them, but many of them will cover their statues. Now, when I was growing up, I used to wonder, because I'd go on pilgrimages with my mom, why are they doing that? You know, why are they closing it up? But they really want us to focus on what is within us and the God that is here among us. Okay?
So it is like what I call, you're blocking out all the noise. You're blocking out all the things that will normally
Distract.
You know, all the negatives that come in towards you. But in addition to that, you're removing all the and I use it distractions. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So
yes.
to allow you to focus on your
Yes.
spirituality, to focus on God.
Yes.
And to
It's
become
very well said.
Okay. Yeah.
And you know, people generally think of Lent as a time, oh my gosh, I have to give up this and give up that, you know, because from school, in fact, from First Communion class, they're encouraged. We as Catholics are encouraged to do that. But the Archbishop, I don't know if you would have seen the special issue of the Catholic News.
I haven't read it
this period. But, okay. But he talked about getting excited about the Lent, you know?
Right.
And really, when you read his article, you want to get excited about it because it allows you in this time when there is so much pain. Think about Ukraine, because he did make mention of the issue there. It allows you to block out some of the negative that is reality, because it is reality. To block out some of that negative and to try to get solace from Jesus.
Okay.
You know, okay. So yes, Lent is really a time of an excited time. It could become an excited time if you really want to focus. And the Catholic Church, in so many ways, each parish is trying to encourage as many as possible to participate in this Lent. So you will find in the different parishes, there are Lenten retreats. Right. They may have retreats. In fact, in all the parishes, there are Lenten retreats. They may have retreats, particularly for the teenagers. They will always have retreats for the rest of the congregation. And you will find too that people who normally will not go to church, they find themselves in church. So attendance is higher in churches at this point in time, because people recognize that it is a special time. Now, 40 days, they talk about Lent being a period of 40 days. You wanted to say something, Jenny?
No, because just to interject here, when you mention that Lent at the Catholic Church and you reference what the Archbishop said about Lent is a time we should be all excited and in spite of what is happening. In chatting with Terri-Ann earlier before you came on, and Terri-Ann was sharing too her views in terms of how she viewed this time of Lent, more in terms of being excited. So I just brought in that so Terri-Ann could share too her thoughts on that.
Yes, I have a view of Lent. Most and we are all Roman Catholics, and I suppose it just highlights difference. I remember as a child always having a problem with the concentration on leading to Good Friday and the crucifixion and death, when I think the real highlight for my sense of Christianity and Lent is preparing for that resurrection and coming out of a tomb. So I've always looked at the period, the 40-day period, as one of discipline. It's almost, and I may be committing a sacrilege here. You see the excitement you have for Christmas. The Advent period is another preparation period, because something great and different is going to happen. And the thing about it, Christ used his 40 days in the desert to prepare for his ministry to change the world and do something very, very different. And so I look at the period of Lent with prayer, with thanksgiving, and with fasting, but I've always had that sense of excitement and anticipation, not seeing Good Friday and the crucifixion as, oh my God, sorrow, but with that anticipation of Sunday and resurrection right after it. And sometimes I seem a bit off from my my parish in that I go to, yes, this is the period where, much like us on the third act stage, you're starting something completely different, completely new. And in this 40-day period of disciplined reflection, prayer, almsgiving, and fast, it is not to, as some will say, self-flagellate. And yes, there is suffering happened, but it happened for a good. And very often we know that nothing good comes just like that. So I think that's my juxtaposition, and I did review the Archbishop's position, and I was so happy that he took that view, because I think many people think that, a lot of us Christians, and especially as Roman Catholics, because Lent could become a very depressing time, because there's so much taken away, there's so much that you give up. But we forget that it is also to enjoy that removal of the stone from the tomb and the resurrection and all that comes with it, so that the period of fasting and almsgiving is a sort of a purification. And I like that view that the Archbishop has taken.
Oh yes. And I think many people look forward to Lent, to be able to fast, to give up something. Especially at this time when there's so much darkness, there's so much negative, you want to see how you can make a difference to you. Because, okay, for instance, I feel sometimes, oh my gosh, I listen to the television, what's happening in Ukraine? And I know many people are in tears just looking at it. So it's like there's darkness that is getting into you around it. Again, and the Archbishop made mention of both of them, both Ukraine, and the amount of darkness we have in terms of the murders and so on. So I think that Lent gives us the opportunity. Yes, we recognize that these things are real, but at the same time, what can we do to strengthen ourselves spiritually? To remove some of that darkness. And it is symbolic, the whole question of giving up. Most people will give up food. Okay, I'm not going to have KFC, or I won't have macaroni pie, and so on. But it's more than giving up food. It's really giving up, and what you give up, the proceeds, let's say, or all right, you're not cooking meat for the whole of Lent. That used to be very popular. The money that you would have spent on meat, you see that part you call almsgiving? I think, Terri-Ann, it falls at the side. But we really should give up and take the proceeds and give it, because there's so many people in need. In addition to that,
there is so much I'm giving up, and it is really very selfish. So I'm giving up this, and I'm giving up sweets, and I'm giving up this, but it's out of vanity. And I absolutely agree with you, because what you give of yourself you link it back to almsgiving. And then there
that's
is also the view of, I don't have to give up, I can start. So people think I can give up of resources, but there are three things. There's time, treasure, and talent. Okay.
Yes.
So I can give time
like that,
to
something.
Yes.
Yes.
It is easy to give up meat or ice cream or dessert because at the back of my mind, I want to lose 10 pounds.
Yes.
Or
some people do that, do it for that purpose.
Yes, and they forget that there is an interrelated circle between these three, because if you fast without almsgiving, supporting a cause, then what are you fasting for?
It's all about you and not about the whole.
And you don't put extra time into a spiritual activity, whatever you choose to do, how you work on your prayer life, how you work on your meditation, then you lose the opportunity to have the Spirit in you reflect on what you are doing and how you contribute to the world. So, you know, we really do tend to focus on, I give up this Lent. I give up that Lent. Yes, but you give it up. But what did you give? What did you build? What did you contribute to? And, you know, how has what are you doing in the spiritual dimension? How are you making sure your union with your Creator is stronger? How is your prayer life different?
Yes,
you know? So I love the fact that you're bringing back these three, and it can't be a one-legged stool. It is a three-legged stool. Otherwise,
and I like the fact, Terry, how you brought in the time, treasure, and talent.
Yes.
Because the church has been propagating that for a while, but you're not hearing about it. But this is a time when you should be saying, what can I do for my community? You know, what can I do? What can I give? God, you've given me so much. What can I give? Time, treasure, talent.
What I like to add here to this is that not just I like the start, and Terri-Ann mentioned it. This is a time for us to start doing something if we haven't before, or if we start to continue in terms of the 40 days. You know, when you decide to give up something, so those, whether it's food, sweets, or whatever, you tend to, at the end of the period, you're going back with the sweets, with the eating, etc. This is a time when we focusing on the giving, when we focusing on the almsgiving and being charitable, etc. I believe if you start at the end of the 40 days, it should not be where you stop.
No.
It is now you have changed. This is what you would continue to do. So we could look at what it is we're going to start with, in terms of course, the given, whether it's like Terri-Ann said, whether it's your time, etc. Whichever one that we want to, this is not what we're going to do, because we want to make that difference to us too. It will help in terms of how you feel, how you think. And as they always say, when you give, you feel good about giving. So even if it's your time and you say, okay, I'm giving an hour every week or every day towards whatever to make somebody else's lives different.
That's correct. That's correct.
And that is continue. Because in growing up again with the Lent, and they say, okay, give up something. Somewhere along the line, you focusing on, okay, soon you could go back to it. Yeah, you understand? So giving up sweets, or giving up some food, or giving up listening to soca music, or going to party, etc. But you see, after that, I'm back to my normal self.
That's why Easter weekend is full of parties.
So
the anxious for that time to come. The anxious.
Change that thinking. We change that thinking, and as we are speaking to our 50 plus, I think this is really a great time for us in terms of the reflection to say, what have we been doing in the past? And whether you are a Catholic or not, find that time to reflect and say, okay, to make a difference, to block out all the negative noise and things coming. I'm going to help, I'm going to contribute in this way to make that difference.
Yeah.
This is how my life will be like moving forward.
Yeah, in future, yes.
Yeah.
And I want to make one point, Coreen, and
Yes,
you
go ahead.
mentioned, and it is something again symbolic, that we look at Lent as a time to get away from the darkness of the world. And for very many people, the world is dark because you have retreated into a tomb, and as we said before, you pull that stone in the cross, and that is why the world is dark. And what people forget, and it comes back to the prayer, fasting, and almsgiving, is that if you reach out, if you give of time, if you give of treasure, if you give of your talent, you can put light in so many different areas and reduce and eliminate that darkness. So to me, sometimes Lent is not a period of staying cloistered in darkness and with the whip on your, but it is a time to go out into the dark world and spread your light by what you can
Shine a
do.
light. Yes.
Spread your light by what you can do to relieve someone's pain, to add light to someone's burden, and sometimes that sacrifice is, people prefer to give up meat and sweets and anything than to reach out and help someone else.
Yes.
Okay, but I want to, I agree with what you're saying. And I think what needs to be done is that we really need to have a different spirit when we talk about the whole question of fasting.
Yeah,
definitely.
If you're going to do something, we're talking about fasting, almsgiving, prayer, it is good to see the end goal. All right?
Yes.
It can't only be about you.
No.
Yes, I
Understand?
agree.
Fasting releases the anointing, the favor of and the blessing of God on the life of people as Christians. But we're not talking about you just not buying this because it is expensive, or you not taking this because you're buying it more for this particular person in the home instead of you. The intent must be one where you want to be a better person.
Yes.
In the eyes of God. That is important. You know, so before you begin to fast, for instance, or give alms, or any one of those other suggestions that we spoke about, you have to go deep down to yourself and ask, what are the motives for my wanting to do this? That is important. What are the specific needs that I'm trying to address? You know? And am I determined to do it for the good of all?
Yeah.
That is important. You know, instead of talking about them, just fast, staying away from television, not buying clothes and so on. You know, what is your intent in doing that? That is critical.
The end is so important. And that again comes back to what happens on Sunday after Friday's crucifixion. What happens on Sunday?
Yep.
Definitely.
Yes. But that Lent really is a cleansing, eh? We as Christians want to become clean vessels. In fact, we should want to become clean vessels. And how do we do that? We can't just sit by ourselves and decide that this is what we're doing. It's always good to have support in your plans. So you have a buddy, like a buddy system, where you have someone who's checking on you and you're checking on them to make sure that what you have planned, which should be for the spiritual good, is being achieved. Now, we get involved into a lot of retreats, and that could be an avenue where you can have buddy systems. Lots of people go to retreat, they leave on a high, and then it ends there.
Yeah.
So maybe some there must be some mechanism. As the Archbishop say, get excited. Yes, it's Lent. One of the things that could get us excited is if we are stronger. We go to church alone, we leave church alone. At the time when it comes, and it will be coming back soon, where we shake hands and greet people. We enter that church and we are there for years, and you know 7 people who are in your neighborhood. You don't make an effort to get to know other people, to get to understand them, to befriend them, have small prayer groups and things like that. All of this is part of being Christian, right? And it starts with making sacrifices. Look at the whole question of Lent being 40 days. That's a significant number. Moses went on Mount Sinai and he fasted for 40 days.
Yeah.
Jesus, after his baptism, went into the wilderness and again he fasted for 40 days. And you know what happened to him at the end of the 40 days? How he was provoked by Satan, but he conquered, because hear me, it wasn't all about the things of the world. He grew stronger. And that's what we want. We want, when we fast and when we give alms and so on, not to think only about us and our physical self, but we are more than flesh and blood. We are spirit too. You really want to strengthen your spirit, that part of us.
So Coreen, as you say that 40 days is significant, I am thinking to tie it in, you know, when, and this is just going off a little bit, when you get these different challenges, whether it's this is for weight loss.
Yes.
They give you a challenge and they say, you know, after that, that it becomes a habit, you know, and you will continue. So you said that 40 days, I'm thinking if we have to link it, and if the decision is to whichever decision you make to help, that you make a commitment, at least you're doing it for 40 days. With the aim that after the 40 days it will strengthen you, so it will be easy for you, it will become a habit.
Yes, yes.
And you would continue. So I am thinking seriously, I never thought of it like that. In my decision, what I want, what I am doing here for the Lenten season, that I will link the 40 days to make it a habit, to strengthen myself. So it's not that I will, instead of giving up at the end, I know for sure it's a habit that I will continue with. And this is how actually, I mean, it might be a different way of doing it. But I thought, as you said, that 40 days is significant.
Yes.
That this is how I would approach, you know, what I'm doing. Yeah.
And even the way we start Lent on Ash Wednesday. Now, Carnival, they're the 2 days before, and months before we start with the Bacchanal, right?
Yeah.
But on Ash Wednesday, we all come, we go to Mass, and we receive our ashes. Do we think about the significance of that? That from that ash we come, and that's how we're going to return. But our spirit will be alive, while our bodies will turn to ashes. Ash Wednesday is a significant day. And I know the priests in their homily try to bring that home. But I wonder how many of us keep that in mind, that this body, this flesh, will one day turn to ashes.
Somehow, Coreen, I feel, and I'm thinking from me, you know, growing up with the belief, I always look at ashes as like this is the start of sacrifice. This is the start of suffering. And the ashes meant that, again, going back to a dark period. And not in the way how you put it there, that is very significant in terms of the ashes reminding you that, hey, your body at the end of the day, it goes to ashes. Yeah.
And during Lent, when you're tempted, okay, so you decide that you're not having chicken or whatever it is, but you're tempted because your friend who is sitting on the desk next to you comes with her lunch and that chicken smells so nice. But you know, it is an opportunity also to grow. The temptation is an opportunity to grow, to say no to it. Just like Jesus said no to Satan 3 times, despite how you know, excited the offers were, because he was strong. Fasting is important. It allows us, should allow us to go beyond just thinking about the food, but in terms of our values. We know what is good for us and what isn't. We also know what feels good, but is not good. You know? So it helps us to make strong decisions.
So we really strengthen our bottom line here too. We strengthen ourselves with prayers, with being, you know, not being selfish, but in terms of helping others, learning to, because when, and I'm saying this in growing up too, when you hear fasting, you're thinking of food, only food, giving up food. And you clear that up, and it's not just about food, because I was thinking, and I think I was sharing that too in talking to Terri-Ann early on, in that at this stage in life, the 50 plus, the 60, somewhere along the line, like your body, for me, it may not, because I know I have a friend, the other religion, that she's Muslim, and when she fasts, even that, and she's the same age with me. But something, I don't know if it's my mind or something, if I say fast, by the time one day, at the end of that day, and it all depends on how you choose to fast, because some do, you know, the 66, some drink water, you know, depending on the type of fast. But to me, somehow, whichever one I choose, like at the end of the day, my body is
tired,
something in it.
Weak.
So I think you talk about strength, and I'm thinking now whether it is really a mind thing and feeling like I'm too old to fast, which should not be, because as I said, I have a girlfriend who is Muslim, she does a fasting. So I as chatting here, I'm gonna relook at that. Something tells me it's a mind thing, and I need to look at maybe a different way. And this, I'm dealing here with the food aspect. The food aspect. Okay. I'm good. Right. I'm very good with any other time and all that. But with the food, I'm thinking, because to me, that would really, it could be something I can look at in strengthening my mind. Let me put it that way. Because the strengthening of my mind, which will help too in terms of the warding off any other distractions, you know. Okay.
The Archbishop, this is really an exciting article. Get excited. After reading it, I really felt excited. One of the things that he said was, this year, embrace Lent with great joy and connect to its inner dynamics with an open heart and a deep desire for God.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just think about the physical thing, but a deep desire for God. I think that is important. Who alone can transform our hearts. So the spiritual aspect of it is so important. Like when I talk to First Communion candidates, they can tell me, yes, miss, I am fasting from X, Y, and Z, which is generally things to eat. And what they have included in this information age is using the computer.
Yeah.
Try to instill in them. Bring God into it.
Yeah.
Bring Jesus into it. Because that is critical. That's what Lent is all about.
Great.
Yeah.
Right. So Terri-Ann, this is what Lent is all about. And Coreen, I mean, even you'll believe at this stage in my life, being a Catholic all my life and following Lent, that I should know it all. But you really mention certain things you have said that have me, would have me doing more reflection, looking at the way I fast, looking at that, how important that 40 days is. That to me, that stand out a lot for me. And this is really, this is for us a time for self-reflection. And, in our audience, we have many who may not be Christians or Catholics, but the information shared about strengthening yourself, etc., is I'm hoping that they see it as very important for themselves too.
Yes. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So at this stage, Terri-Ann, we thank Coreen.
Definitely.
Yes.
I mean, it's good to have
pleasure
so
was
many
mine.
different aspects of how we approach Lent. And I think you've really gone into the traditional spiritual view of how Lent is celebrated. And it is a dynamic thing. And as time changes, there are many people who would not relate to what you said in terms of how the world is. And unless you have a very deep, I think, a traditional Roman Catholic grounding, it may sound distant and esoteric to many people. And one of the things that I really admired about the Archbishop is trying to come to people where they are today, given that, yes, you may have a very shallow grounding. Yes, you may not have had the catechism and the training that the older ones may have had. But, our cohort, I think our cohort has benefited from that. And some of us, a lot of us, have forgotten or have not practiced. And we are out of sync with it. But as for any tradition, all traditions use that 40 cycle, and you use some examples of how 40 is significant. It rained for 40 days with Noah, He's really drifted in the wilderness for 40 years. It is a period of conversion. And I really do take your view of it, but I also bring into force the Archbishop's view and the traditional view that in this period, a lot of us Christians need to go out rather than go within. Because that going within does not help to fix or strengthen or change the world. And I think some of us, we stay in with our give up food and give up clothes, and because we know very well much and enough. So the give up doesn't change anything. Giving up makes no difference at all. But once you decide you're fasting, and if things in the physical world make no difference because you already have so much, then your fasting is probably giving more. Almsgiving, and almsgiving is
prayer and almsgiving.
Not a lot of money, because some of us have a lot of money, and it's easy to give that cup that means nothing to you. But you see that one time, that's the one that I think makes the biggest difference,
Big
because
difference,
each day is 24 hours. And for
Yeah.
us to reach out to
Yes,
others,
time and
to
talent.
make to make a difference. Your time is your talent, is your money. So we will give up food, we will put more money in the collection, we write a check, but we're not touching time and talent, because we know what we gave up in the collection, and we gave up.
You feel that is enough. No,
Yes.
And I could use time and talent to make 100 times more. So the end result is zilch. And I really do believe that we need to use Lent and any period of fasting like that to sit down first of all and say, really, when you're doing this
do some
fasting
introspection
and you're giving up, are you really
Yes.
giving up anything, or are you
Is it a
just quietly
sacrifice?
saying, I take the money,
Yes.
but my time and talent is going to bring back 50 more? It makes no sense.
No,
And
no.
that
It
does
ought
not
not to be
fool
like
your
that.
creator. It doesn't bring light into the world, and it makes
It
at
should
the
not be
end
like that.
of your 40-day Lenten sacrifice, then
You're no different.
what is the resurrection really about? What is the joy?
You're
that
no
you're
different. You
back
just feel smarter.
you
Yes, the
know?
strengthening of the spirituality is important.
Yeah. And I suppose the grounding is that people must understand what it means and why, because Christ's mission was a very focus on outreach to the poor, the
that's correct.
dispossessed, it was all
Evangelizing,
of outreach and not being afraid to break the status quo and
No.
go against the trend. And I think in this period, we need to, if to me Lent is to be exciting and to make a difference, it can be, all right, I give up something that I already have a lot of, and at the end of it, it's not really missed.
Well, actually, that's not fasting. That's not fasting.
It is not, but so many of us approach it in that way because we
the
don't
church
have
does not recognize that as fasting at all. You're smarting yourself, You're not fasting. You're smarting yourself.
That's it.
I agree with what you say. People need to understand that you want to bring the Holy Spirit into your being. And you can't do that by trying to be smart with yourself. No, it makes no sense. It means that you are not sincere.
But I think a lot of what is put out there, and I'm glad we're having this discussion, because so many of us take comfort in hearing that talk about fast and fast, and we sit down and we right there in the front, and it is not sincere. You fooling yourself. So it's to be called out. Make the circle with these three, and if you have a lot of physical food or clothes or whatever it is, when you're giving it up, if you're giving out of your surplus, as they say,
no,
what
that's not it.
difference are you making? What light?
That's not it. That's not it at all.
Yeah.
So they're just, not fooling God and not really getting closer to Him by doing that at all.
Exactly.
But they have to understand what fasting, giving, and prayer is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not about what people say and what people see. It's not a fronting thing. As I did this for Lent. I give up this for Lent. And
it has to come from down there, your heart.
Private thing.
Yeah, has to come from there.
Yes, definitely. Great.
Yeah, this was exciting. Thank you for having me.
We did our part.
You're welcome. Good.
This is a lovely discussion. You all look so bright and fresh.
Thank you.
Thank you, Corey.
Terri-Ann, I mean, chatting with Coreen and listening to, Coreen's views on Lent, what shows up a lot for me is how important it is for us to not just think of ourselves, think of others, and make that difference, And to do that, we need to strengthen ourselves. And I totally believe and agree with Coreen that for us to strengthen ourselves, we have to have that faith. We have to believe in God, and do the things that is required. And sometimes it's not easy. But before we can help others, we have to strengthen ourselves, and to do that through spirituality. Basically, that's my takeaway too from it.
Yeah. I see, and that is a perspective that is valid. And as you know, I step away from the traditional view.
Yeah.
I think by action and deeds, in that way, you will strengthen. I think while it is important to step away and have reflection and so on, the way I identify with things is by going out and acting and helping to bring light. I do not subscribe to the darkness and penitential philosophy.
Right.
And the Archbishop is probably hoping he could throw holy water on me through the church. And Father Matthew, yes, that's my view. Don't you all throw me out of St. Joseph now. But I really and truly do believe, and this is something that I've been saying, I've been practicing from a young child. Always, I remember going on pilgrimages with my grandmother and looking at all these people in the bus, and they all sound as though they're moaning and groaning. And I'm saying, but why are they sounding so miserable and unhappy?
Great. So Terri-Ann, this is a time you look at more for joy, to bring joy into.
I wouldn't say joy. I would say purposeful action to bring change where there is need. I would not say joy. It is not a joyful thing, but it is hopeful, and it is positive, and it is, I suppose you need the two. You need someone cloistered to be reflecting, and you need to have people outside doing activity, because given the state of the world, and we are not as Christian as we used to be. There's a need for quality evangelization. There's a need for missionary work. There's a need to go out there and support. And it has to be an active thing. I don't think everyone can be inside cloistered. I think a lot of us need to, as we said, use our time and our talent to go out there and act, to bring forth the change and get ready for Easter, which is where Lent is heading to. I think we spend too much time at the foot of the cross in despair, and that doesn't help us. So I think we've got a good balance.
Yes.
in terms of because Christ himself knew he was getting off that cross in 3 days, so we need to get up and get on. So, but this was a fun discussion, a really fun.
Yeah, it's important for us to have these conversations and different, topics, and I really enjoyed that conversation with Coreen.
Great. So we are saying that we hope that you all had a good time, and please join us in the conversation. And Jennifer, we always say our YouTubers and our Facebook people, we know you're there looking on and listening, but you're shy, you don't like to talk.
And Terri-Ann, before we sign off, yesterday was International Women's Day. So I just want to, hope everything went well. But again, this is a celebration that we should continue, with our thinking. So I wish all women outside there who working hard, those who not working hard, to everybody, it's about togetherness. It's about, having one, and I think I had a team here, and the team was what? Gender equality today for sustainable tomorrow. And most of the time, when we celebrate International Women's Day, it's about gender equality. But here at Connections, we deal with both men and women. but
There
for
is gender
International
equality
Women's
here.
Day.
There is gender equality here.
Yes, so we talk about that. So all the best to everyone, and we say at the stages bye. Okay.
Great. See you next week. Don't forget to like us, subscribe, and if you're on Facebook, follow. Gaia
And share.
viewers, go online, go onto YouTube, go onto our channel, subscribe and like, go onto our Facebook page, follow us, and let's join the conversation. Have a
Great.
productive Lent. Use your time, talent, and treasure to make the world better. Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
50 Plus Tribe and follow us from Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean.
Thank you for joining us on this Connections 50 Plus 5.8G Alive show.
We hope you enjoyed the lively conversation and look forward to seeing you next week.
Don't forget to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
We really love getting your feedback. Bye for now.